5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me today to talk for the next hour about pipes and plumbing, our single entry Super Mario brother, Mr. Joshua Toadstool. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, man. My fiance is excited with the amount of pipe that the plumber laid yesterday. She's satisfied. So happy wife, happy life. So we move on to the hockey slate.
It didn't even take 30 seconds. It didn't even. This show's gone off the rails, and it didn't even take 30 seconds. What we'd like to thank Yahoo for being our sponsor. They have been our sponsor this entire season. They have been very good to us so far this year, and we do have a special giveaway through Yahoo that we'll talk about a little bit later. All right, let's talk about last night's slate. Just a short 4-game slate, but it was a good night for some Awesemo people I saw. After a bunch of 1% finishes, Mr. G, Saul Goodman, finally came through. I shouldn't say finally. He was going to get there eventually, but he came through with the bank, took down, I think it was the 265 for 10K. We had Chris Negus. I think he finished second. It was in the $33, if I'm not mistaken. It was the 33 or the 40.
Like that,
yeah.
Right in the 40.
He had a 4-figure night for himself. So congrats to Mr. Goodman. Congrats to Mr. Negus on good nights. I cashed myself last night, went nearly 3X. Can't really complain about that. I was talking to you before the show. Went one lineup on the 4-game slate last night. Went with Hamonic and Elias Pettersson as a 2-man stack to go with Colorado. Obviously, Pettersson and Hamonic didn't come through. So while I cashed, I didn't finish near the top. How'd you do last night?
Terrible.
For anybody that's wondering, that is Josh's son Avery calling him a terrible DFS player.
Yeah, no. Wow, the scenes, man. I know you're right. I didn't do great because I made a really bad swap before the slate when I saw the new Colorado lines. I swapped Randon Tays to Landeskog Makar, and that was a costly error. And then I had Demko. I bubbled, and I was just like, that's the thing I hate the most. I'd rather just get absolutely shredded than bubble, because you have to pay attention the whole night just to watch your winnings disappear at the end.
Yeah, those are always tough ones. And I see Chris Worstel in chat. I think he's been having a good season so far. It says almost a great night, had a good night. Colorado won with Makar. Rangers 3, Hamonic and Demko. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably went Hamonic and Demko last night. I know I certainly did. Hamonic didn't come through for us. 2 shot blocks, like just so close to bringing enough value to be worth it, but didn't quite get there. But congrats, Mr. Goodman. Congrats, Mr. Negus. Hopefully we'll bring some more winners to the forefront tonight, and we'll be able to talk about those tomorrow. I just want to talk about one of the games that was on the slate yesterday real quick, because we do have a huge 10-game slate to get through. I don't want to take too much time. And it was the Canucks Bruins, because the Bruins are on this slate. They look like they have pretty good leverage by our top stacks tool, but you and I talked before the show. I only watched the first period of that game. You watched more of it. I found it borderline unwatchable. Like, Boston didn't look very good, and that top line has had some struggles over the last few weeks. So what do you think of that game?
Yeah, it was just like the first period and a half, 2 periods, it was just such a slow paced game. Like, Boston couldn't get anything going. You know, Boston didn't look good offensively. You know, that Bergeron line still good defensively. So the Canucks didn't really get anything going. The only reason Boston scored is because they got a lucky 5-on-3. Like, that goalie interference call was a bit suspect. I think they just wanted to get, you know, the tied game and then go from there. And then, you know, Canucks won in the shootout, but I felt like I was watching Rangers game.
That's my running theory on the NHL is referees aren't there to call the rules. They're there to keep the games close. And I like your conspiracy theory there with that, but we're going to take our tinfoil hats off and we're going to get to the slate. See about 60 people watching. If you guys could throw us a thumbs up, click that like button. It'll really help us look good for the bosses. Click the subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed. helps us grow this channel. And don't forget to click the notification button, get alerts whenever we do go live. We have a bunch of free stuff up on the site as we normally do. Today being no exception, we have Thursday night football player rankings, we have NBA main slate ownership projections, and we have NHL ownership projections for tonight. We do talk about how sometimes NHL ownership can be overblown in NHL, but it's very much worth it to see what the very over-owned plays are going to be, and where the under-owned plays are going to be, and how you can balance that. So check out the NHL ownership we have up on the site, free for today. Let's get to these games. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning with a 2.6 implied goal total. They're going into Toronto. The Leafs have a 2.9 implied goal total. Obviously, still no Mitch Marner. He's going to be out for a little while yet. The big news on the Tampa side is that Anthony Cirelli is a game time decision. And, he might be, with Braden Point injured, he's their best defensive center. Probably not even close to their best defensive center, I would say as well. So, like researching this game, I did not really have a lot of interest. Like you and I talked before the show, Tampa Bay likes to grind the games down, especially with Point and Kucherov and all those guys hurt. They like to grind the games down, play it slow. Toronto's top line, Matthews is not going to be without Marner, and we've talked about his numbers without Marner and Nylander. They're considerably worse over the years when he doesn't have one of those elite wingers with him. I think there could be some playable stuff here, but for me, honestly, I think Anthony Cirelli's status is a big concern here.
Yeah. If Cirelli's in, like, it's weird to say, like, I have no interest in the Leafs. Like that Stamkos line with Palat and Joseph they're just so low event both ways. They just grind the game to the hull. And Cirelli, Killorn, Gabriel Fortier, their numbers, it's a small sample, but they're ridiculously good defensively. Cirelli's out. I'm going to have some interest in Tavares Nylander. The problem is, Tavares is really expensive. Nylander is really expensive. There's a lot of other expensive spots that I like on the slate. I just don't know if I want to pay up there. I think, if Cirelli's in, honestly, the only thing that I'm probably going to be interested in is an Andre Kasha one-off. He's still power play one. He's 3,300. He's not garnering much ownership. So I think that's where I'm going to go. If you want to play like Matthews, I guess, go for it. 10%. How often do you get a decently low owned Matthews? That is what worries me a little bit, but they have a 2.9 total. There's a lot of other higher totals. Tampa just, they know how to play with all these guys out. They have to slow it down. Like the pace of the Lightning just worry me. Vasilevsky worries me. You know what I mean? So I'm probably going to be very underweight on the field if Cirelli plays. If he's out, I'll have to consider some Toronto too. But, luckily this is a early game, so we'll know right away, or at least 30 minutes before lock, and then you can make your decisions from there. So I'm probably going to be pretty much out on Toronto tonight. On the Tampa side, there's nothing I would full stack. I don't even know if I would one off anybody on this slate. Like Stamkos is too expensive for me. I wouldn't want to one off Palat. Like Cirelli, Killorn, maybe just because they're getting no ownership. But really, this game to me, I'm probably not going to have anything from it.
Yeah, I will say, like, I don't mind playing Austin Matthews as a one-off here tonight, but I think if you're going to play him in a stack, you power play stack, right? Like, I'm not going to play him with Wayne Simmons, Michael Bunting in a stack. That's just not something I'm going to do. It'd be something like Tavares, Nylander, Matthews as a three-man power play stack. But honestly, I just don't have any interest. These are two of the better penalty kills in the entire league, like both certainly top 10, maybe even top 5. And like we said, Tampa Bay likes to grind it down. So I'm gonna, we have a lot of games to talk about. I'm not going to drone on. I am not stacking out of this game. I like you said, there are some one-offs I like. Andre Kasha is a one-off I definitely like. Alex Killorn, if Cirelli's in, I don't mind him as a one-off as well. If you want to one-off Austin Matthews, I think, like I said earlier, I think that's perfectly fine, but no stacks for me out of this game. I think I'll just be one-offing some better value players that I can find. On the blue line, Ryan McDonough sticks out to me as long as Eric Chernak's not back in the lineup. On the Toronto side, there's just not a lot to like. Man, like I want to say Jake Muzzin for 3,400, but man, he strikes me as Toronto's Jeff Petrie this year.
Yeah, his peripherals have been bad. I agree with McDonough. And then, this isn't the slate for it, but we'll talk about it another time. I think Morgan Riley has become playable again, but, this isn't the slate to do it, I don't think.
Yeah, I think the time to do it is in even a better power play matchup.
Yeah.
It's just a terrible, terrible power play
Yeah.
matchup for Toronto in this game. I agree. All right, let's get to the next game. Chicago, 2.9 implied goal total. They're going into Montreal. The Habs have a 2.5 implied goal total. Chicago's making a lot of lineup changes as they typically have. Dylan Strome is scratched, so Philip Kurashev is going to be back in, and they said that a line is going to be Kurashev, Kubalik, and Kirby Dach. Now, those three players being line means that there is Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat, and Brandon Hagel for 3 spots on the top line. One of those guys is going to get boned. I'm guessing it's going to be DeBrincat that gets sent down to the third line so that they can spread out the scoring. That kind of makes me like DeBrincat because there is no matchup concern from the second, third, or fourth lines for Montreal here. Like, absolutely none. So, I'm assuming but that's the kind of thing that worries me is like we don't have the line combination. So maybe people still assume DeBrincat's going to be in the top 6 or something like that. So worried about ownership here. I think there might be some stuff that's playable on both sides. What do you think, Josh?
Is Dvorak in? He's a game time decision, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a game time decision. Montreal didn't run lines this morning either.
Yeah, so like if Dvorak's out, there's literally no lines that worry me. Not that like Dvorak would.
I will say that Lehkonen
Evans.
Yeah, that would be the only one that would give me some pause. Other than that, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, with Dvorak there with Lehkonen and Evans makes it probably better than Ryan Poling or whoever they'll put there. You know what I mean? So, man, like there's a lot of 5.5 totals on this game, on this slate. And there are some other 5.5 total spots that I like a lot better. The one thing I'll say is like, we always talk like the Chicago beat writers, like, oh, since whoever got fired, they've been better defensively, yada, yada, yada. Our buddy Saul G Enterprises LLC shared with us before about the Blackhawks penalty kill the past week. They're like dead last and everything. So like Mike Hoffman makes some sense. His power play rates are just out of bounds. Like if you want to hop on that stat trick and look it up, we have a big slate. Got other things to talk about than Mike Hoffman for 5 minutes, but like at 4K, I think he is definitely viable. You want to go Hoffman, Suzuki, Duran, they fully correlate. It does worry me that they're getting, double-digit ownership on a 2.5 total at home. But it is the Blackhawks, so in MME, I think that makes sense. I'm assuming the top line for Chicago is going to be Hagel, Toews, Kane. If they're going to get that Lehkonen and Evans matchup at that ownership, I'll probably pass. I think that they're fine in MMA. I actually don't mind the Kurashev, Dach, Kubalik line. They're cheap. They're decent filler. The power play correlation is kind of wonky. And Dach doesn't really shoot too much, but Kubalik at 3,800 getting these matchups. Hopefully he shoots the puck. That's a pretty good one-off. Assuming people know the Chicago lines, DeBrincat 6,600 on the third line. If we notice his ownership going down, like he's around 1-2%, like I think he's a very good one-off as well. Top power play. He's going to play with Kane on the power play. Who knows what these lines stick? Like the thing with the Blackhawks, who knows what the lines are going to be in the second period even. So I think DeBrincat makes some sense. But overall, like I don't think I'm full stacking in this game either. There's some one-offs that I'll play. Maybe a little bit of Kurashev, Kubalik, but really, like again, another game that I don't have much interest in.
Yeah, I just want to talk about DeBrincat. You mentioned his probable low ownership rate. We had him at 3% in our first ownership run, and that was when he was expected to be in the top 6. If he's going to be on the third line, he's going to be like 1-2%, right? So do like DeBrincat here as a one-off. I'm with you. I think this is another one-off game for me. Mike Hoffman, also a good one-off for his price. That his power play shooting is just insane. Either he scores on the power play or the puck gets shot out. Like that's just kind of how it goes for Montreal's power play. But I'm with you on the Kubalik, Dach, Kurashev train because like they're going to avoid that only good defensive line for Montreal. And I mean, Montreal is absolutely horrific defensively. Second worst in the league over the last month. The only team worse is Philadelphia. This is Philadelphia. This is Chicago against Philadelphia. Mike, I'm sorry. Please don't cut my. He's getting angry. Our producer Mike is a big Flyers fan.
He's going to turn you green like last year.
But yeah, this is just Montreal is just a horrific defensive team. I really, really do like Chicago here. I just find it tough to go along with the lines that they have. So I think Taves and Kane as a two-man makes sense. I think, Kubalik and Kurashev for that secondary power play unit makes some sense. I think DeBrincat as a one-off also makes sense. One-off Mike Hoffman on the other side. On the blue line, I think Connor Murphy should be back for Chicago because he was out in there. He was like a game time decision for the last game. He probably should be back now. Seth Jones back to the top power play unit. What do you think here?
I mean, there's a lot of pretty expensive spots tonight. So I don't know, if Jones is going to be near that 17% ownership. I think he gets overlooked a little bit. This is a good power play spot. So, I mean, if I wouldn't force Jones into your lineup, but if you happen to land there, I think it's perfectly fine. Calvin DeHaan min price for some shot blocks, I guess. On the Montreal side, there's not really much there. I wish, Kale Clague would be getting some more minutes, but I don't mind him with Hoffman as a little two-man, but that's about it.
Yeah, we should note Kale Clague over on Montreal now should be getting some top power play minutes with Mike Hoffman, and that two-man is $6,500. So not a bad little spot there. Next game, Anaheim, 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into Columbus. The Jackets have a 2.9 implied goal total. We love this game, don't we, Josh? And it's hard to fathom. Imagine the first week of October and you're thinking to yourself, I cannot wait for that Columbus Anaheim game in early December. But this actually should be a pretty good game to watch. Obviously, Trevor Zegras with that just absurd goal in the last game, that flick from behind the net to Sonny Milano. So Anaheim's ownership looks like they're going to come in lower than the last slate, at least by our last ownership run. So I think there's stuff on that side, but there's also certainly stuff to play on Columbus. So what do you like here, Josh?
Yeah. We talked about rest and this and that yesterday. This is 3 and 4 nights for the Ducks, but Zegras and Milano are 12 years old. They're the same age as Jake. They're in middle school. So they'll be fine. Ricard Raquel, the price has come up. Milano Cookies was $2,800 earlier this week. Now he's up to $4K. But still, this line is fully correlated. They're going to get it. The one thing I will say about fully correlated, Columbus doesn't take many penalties, but they have elite numbers 5-on-5 the Zegras line. So there isn't really a matchup that worries me. And their ownership, they were 20% the other night. Now they're coming in around 7-8%. So it's drawing me there as well. You go down the lineup here, I don't really have too much interest in a line of Vinny Lettieri, Sam Steele, Troy Terry. No. And then if Jakob Silfverberg was on the top power play, maybe I'd have interest in him in a one-off. But really, for me, on the Duck side, it's just really that top line. And on the Columbus side, if you want to play Jenner Bjorkstrand, I think that's fine. There's 2 good goalies going in this game, so that does worry me a little bit. So I think I'm going to look towards the cheaper matchups. Domi, Roslovic, Voracek, just insanely cheap. They're 9-1 to full stack, and they're coming in at 2%. There's they're going to avoid the Zegras line. There's not a matchup on the Ducks after that really worries me. The only thing that worries me is John Gibson. That, but a goalie is sometimes almost as good as his defense, and the Ducks don't have much after that Zegras line. So for a filler line, I really like that Domi Roslovic Voracek match. And if you even want to go down further, you want to do a Sillinger Nyquist 2-man, I think that's fine. I don't know, if you need to go down there because Roslovic's also 2,800, Domi's also 2,800, Voracek's only 3,500. Sillinger's minutes have been a concern, so I think I'll concentrate on Columbus 2 here, maybe a little bit of Jenner Bjorkstrand and Ducks 1.
Yeah, I definitely want to mention Oliver Bjorkstrand because his price is just far too cheap. for what he can do. He's priced at $5K on DraftKings, and this guy's a 30+ goal, 70-point winger. Like, I have absolutely no idea why he's priced $5,000 on DraftKings, but that's kind of what's drawing me to that Columbus top line, is that they probably should be more expensive. Like, Bjorkstrand should be, 6,500 to a 7K winger, and Jenner should probably be a 6K center by now. So that's kind of what's drawing me to Columbus here, is I think the top line is underpriced, and they play at a super high pace. 120 plus shots for and against, or shot attempts for and against per 60 minutes, which is high. 5.5 expected goals for and against per 60 minutes, which is high. That's why I kind of like both top lines here. I think they can trade goals going back and forth. So no issue with either top line. I will say I like the Anaheim top line more than the Columbus top line. We have, perfectly correlated on the power play. We have a bigger sample. I think Zegras is a better offensive player than Jenner, even at this stage of his career. So I will say I like the Anaheim top line better, but I'm with you on that Columbus second line. They're genuinely one of my favorite filler lines on the night. I think just doing like a Roslovic, Domi, and then adding Bean for that additional secondary power, because Columbus does play their second power play. This isn't a Boston or something like that where it's 80% power play one. So I do like that Columbus second line. Roslovic and Domi have put up decent numbers in a small sample together, 62 shot attempts per 60 minutes, above water by expected goals. So yeah, I do like Columbus too. On the blue line, I just mentioned Jake Bean. I don't mind him in your Columbus 2 stacks. They still have very cheap defensemen and all very usable defensemen. So I don't think there's, like, I would say if I'm stacking power play 2, I would use Jake Bean. Otherwise, I would probably use Bachfist. But anybody else stick out to you?
Yeah, Gavrikov, if you like him, is fine as well. If you have the space for Werenski, if you're using that top line, I think he's fine. On the Ducks side, Drysdale, if you're using Ducks 1. I don't mind Hampus Lindholm as a $3,500 punt tonight either. Josh Manson, 2,600. It's been doing some stuff. If you're a game log warrior, you can do worse for 2,600 for sure.
Yep, I agree. Let's keep this train moving then. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there. With an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our premium Discord, lineup builder, and a whole lot more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code that we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word, NHL Strategy Show, for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. And of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. That's promo code NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word, for first-time Awesemo users, 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, let's get to this next game. And this one is a spicy game. And this is one, I think this is one of the 5.5s that you were talking about, because this is certainly one that I was talking about. Nashville, 2.6 implied goal total. They're going into face the Islanders. The Islanders have a 2.8 implied goal total. Should mention that 2.8 from the Islanders is a goal total that's come down. They opened at 3 and they've come down. So it doesn't seem like Vegas is very high on the Islanders here. Earlier in our chat, somebody was asking if the Islanders have gotten better, of late, because they started the season horrifically. 4 games since returning from their COVID pause or whatever. They played Chicago, Detroit, Ottawa, and San Jose, and were underwater by shot share. I still don't think the Islanders are a very good team. I don't think any of their lines, I shouldn't say that. I think their top line might be fine. Their second and third lines are definitely bad. I think there's a playable line on the Nashville side here. Josh, what do you think?
When I was looking through this game, I was researching, I felt like that Vince McMahon meme. I was like, Nashville won 18-5, 2%, getting bottom 6 matchups. Oh, you know what I mean? So, here we go again. I love Nashville 1. They're fully correlated. They're 18-5, which is not super expensive. They're coming in under 2%. And what the Islanders do at home is they send out Barzal Lee against bottom six, which means they have what they're going to send out against Granlund, Duchesne, Forsberg is either going to be Kiefer Bellows, Austin Cesarnik, Wallstrom, or Ross Johnston, Cal Clutterbuck, and Zach Parisi at center. Tell me again why they're only 2%. I don't know. I'm going to be marching around like Vince McMahon tomorrow after I ship with Nashville 1. I really like them tonight. Their own, obviously, I know why their ownership is low. They have a 2.6 total on the road. I don't really understand that total. I think, Vegas is still respecting the Islanders from a few seasons ago when they were good defensively. Their defensive numbers have not been great. So yeah, Nashville 1 for me. I also like the Tolvin and Cunnin 2-man again. If you need a filler, I think there's better spots around. Like we just talked about, I'd rather play Columbus 2 and Nashville 2, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention them. I think you can get them in with, one of the cheap defensemen who are on the second power play unit. On the Islander side, like because they send out the Barzal line against the bottom six, I think Barzal Lee are playable. Lee's price has come down. They're only 11-4 for the two of them. You want to throw in Josh Bailey, 2,700. Sure. 2.8 total. It's come down a little bit, but we don't know if Saros is going to be in. The bottom six in Nashville isn't terrible defensively, but they're not great. So I think, Barzal Lee playable tonight. That second line, not awful. I mean, JGP, Beauvillier, 7,300 for the two of them is playable as well. But I think, if I was going to play the Islanders, I'm not going to get to them in 1 to 3, but in MME, I'm definitely going to get to some Islanders 1, maybe a little bit Islanders 2, but Nashville 1, my favorite line in this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not going to expand much further. Nashville 1 is going to get depth matchups from the Islanders because they don't, like you said, they don't send out the Barzal line, and the Pajot line goes out against second lines. I have no idea what the Islanders are doing here, but I suspect that Nashville top line, which has a 64% expected goal share, is going to do a little bit of damage here tonight. I really do like Nashville 1 as well. Nothing for me from the Islanders side. I agree with you with Leon Barzal. If you want to use them, I'm probably only going to play 2 or 3 lineups tonight. I don't think I'll get to them. If I was playing 20, I would probably have Leon Barzal in 2 out of 20, something like that. Because their prices have come down. They're at least generating 60 shot attempts and 32 scoring chances per 60 minutes. So while they're giving up a lot in their own defensive end, at least they're generating offensively. So I think there's definitely a case for that Islanders top line, but I like the Nashville top line the most out of this game. On the blue line, Noah Dobson, his price is starting to come up a lot, up to 4,500. I think that's still playable. I also think Roman Josi at 7,400 on the road is playable. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah. I like Josi. I faded him the other night when I played Nashville 1 and I was crying about it. So I'm going to try to, if I'm going to play Nashville 1 in my 1 lineup, I think I'm going to try to get Josi in. Dobson makes some sense. Price is getting up there, but 4,500 still playable. We'll see if Ekholm is back. If he's not back, I think there's some other playable guys like Fabro, but if Ekholm's in, I think Josi is just the guy for me.
Yep, I do like Josi as well. And I see chat likes your Vince McMahon. They're saying we should make Josh's Vince McMahon call of the night a regular thing. We're going to talk with the higher ups about that. I don't know how often we can get away with that on the show, but I actually kind of like that idea. Josh's Vince McMahon call of the night. We're going to think about that. All right, let's get to I see Mike is enjoying it too. Let's get to this next game. Detroit 2.6 implied goal total. They're going into St. Louis. The Blues have a 3.4 implied goal total. Obviously, no Tyler Bertuzzi still for Detroit. I posted those numbers in our chat, the top line without Tyler Bertuzzi, and it's not that they're bad, it's that they're horrific. And St. Louis won, the O'Reilly top line with Kyrou and Brandon Saad. They changed up their lines now. O'Reilly, Kyrou, Brandon Saad as a top line. They're going to get that Detroit 1 matchup. And like, even in the last show, we talked about how Detroit 1, at the best of times, traded chances. Now it looks like they're not even trading chances anymore. I really do like that St. Louis top line. What do you think about this game, Josh?
Yeah, there is a ton, and I mean a ton of ownership on the Blues tonight. And for good reason. Like with Fabry on the top line, that, you know, their numbers, just go look them up. They're underwater. That second line with Veleno there, putrid. So like, I'm having some problems figuring out what I want to do with the Blues here. Because like full stacking the line, it's going to be over 20%. If you want a power play stack, the top power play, you're going over 3 even strength lines. You want to go to the second power play unit, 3 even strength lines. So like, I'm kind of in a conundrum here. I think I might stick to like 2-mans, or even just like, it's a 10-game slate, but like, honestly, Josh stacking on DraftKings came into my head here. Like, that might be a bit egregious on a 10-game slate, but like, man, like there's just so much to like. Like, I think O'Reilly Kyrou is a great 2-man. Like, they're super cheap. Buchnevich, Tarasenko, even just like one-offing Braden Shen at 3,300 on the top power play. Like, it's just pick your poison. Like, yeah, Barbashev's there on the second unit or on the second line, but like I think they're going with not 12 forwards again. So I wouldn't, are they, or no?
No, it's 11 forwards.
Yeah. So they're going 11-7 at best again tonight. So like, yeah, Barbashev is there right now, but you know, Shen's going to see some time with Buchnevich, Tarasenko. So I think, you know, you want to go Shen, Buchnevich, Tarasenko, I think that's fine. You know, there's just so much you can do here with the Blues. I pretty much love everyone in their top 6. On the Detroit side, don't have much interest in that top line. Yeah, they're fully correlated, but they're getting like 8% in the 2.6 total on the road. Like, Nashville 1 has a 2.6 total on the road, and they're coming in way less owned. Like, I'd rather just play them. I know that there's a price difference. The numbers with Veleno on that second line just take me off Suter Zadina. It's just a mess. So I'm probably out on the wings tonight. Just a matter of what you want to do with the Blues, I think is the most important thing on the slate.
Like, one of the most confounding things to me on this entire slate is how in the name of God is Detroit 1 under leverage or over leverage? Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, why are people running out to play this line tonight?
I think it's price. It's got to be priced, no?
But they're still like 15K. I get it, perfectly correlated 15K. You know, we'll play those lines, but like, just give me Anaheim instead. You know what I mean? Like, the Anaheim top line is $1,800 more expensive. Find the $1,800 and play Anaheim instead. You know what I mean? So it's kind of where I stand on Detroit. On the St. Louis side, I agree. I think I don't think you have to get too funky with your stacks, because it is a large slate and they do allow you to do so much with the rest of your lineup that I don't think you have to worry about duplications, unless you're just like St. Louis 1 plus Krug plus another stack defenseman goalie. That might get duplicated. But if you're just playing St. Louis 1 and then, you know, you have a 2-man forward stack on the other side, and then you're correlating your defenseman with your goalie, like, don't worry about duplicating those types of lineups. I will say, I hate that Ivan Barbashev is on that second line, but I just like the duo of Buchnevich and Tarasenko more than I like any other duo on St. Louis. I just hate their center. I hate him so much, and I can't believe that they put him there. But anyways, but that's where I'm going to stick with St. Louis. Is I'm probably going to look to the St. Louis second line, Tarasenko and Buchnevich 2-man. I just want to get much lower ownership and a higher chance of success by our top stacks tool. It just makes sense. The math tells me that, Josh. So
numbers don't lie.
Numbers never lie. So I'm going with St. Louis 2 here. On the blue line, I think Parayko is still fine at his price in the mid 4s. Philip Hronek is going to be back for Detroit tonight, so I think he's playable in case he gets hit by 3 pucks at 3,400 on DraftKings. What do you think?
Yeah, that's really about it. I mean, Parayko definitely makes some sense. You want to throw Krug into a power play stack, that makes some sense. That's really about it. And I guess like why Detroit one is popular is because Charlie Lindgren's starting. But
Yeah, but
yeah, it doesn't matter who the goalie is for the Blues.
it's not only that. I don't think Charlie Lindgren is necessarily a bad goalie.
No,
This
he's
is
pretty good,
Huska
actually.
coming up from the Rangers.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
He'll hold his own.
I kind of agree with that. He'll hold his own. All right, let's move it along. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo. Sign up for an account via the link below. Deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we'll reach out via email with your coupon. And if you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's $175,000 Thursday night football baller. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Not a bad little deal for first-time Yahoo users here. All right, let's get to this next game. Carolina, 2.6 implied goal total. They're going into Calgary. The Flames have a 2.9 implied goal total. What stuck out to me the most in this game was that after a brief interlude down on the third line, Blake Coleman's back on Calgary too, and that Coleman, Backlund, Mangiapane line had been very excellent up until they got broken up. I suspect they might see a fair bit of the Carolina top line here tonight. What do you make of this game, Josh?
Yeah, this is a tough game to break down. I think in 1 to 3, I don't know if I'm going to get too much in this game, but in MME, I think this is a pretty good game to target. Although the matchups here are very important because if Coleman, Backlund, Mangiapane are going to go out against Carolina 1, I don't know how much Carolina 1 I'm going to want because Coleman, Backlund, Mangiapane have great defensive numbers. And then, you start going down the lineup here, Jarvis, Trocheck, Netch's probably going to see the Lucic, Monahan, Dubé matchup. See, they haven't been bad, but I think that would be the line that I want to play from Carolina is Jarvis, Trocheck, Netch's. They're getting no ownership. They're fairly cheap. I think that's where I want to go. The Stahl, Fost, Svechnikov are going to see a fair bit of, the Gaudreau, Lindholm, Kachuk. So I think for me, it's going to be that Trocheck, Netch's, Jarvis line for me. And then, because Lindholm, Gaudreau, Kachuk seeing, the Stahl line, they have decent defensive numbers. Doesn't scare me away completely. I think in MME, they're definitely a line, you can play. They're fully correlated. Carolina takes a ton of penalties. I think that's what makes them pretty attractive here. They're getting close to around double-digit ownership. It's because Elias Lindholm's prices come down. They're fairly cheap for where they were at points this season. So I think in MME, I think Calgary 1 is a very viable play. And I also think if you want to use that second line, you can. I don't know how much I'll get to. There's like other filler lines that I like more, Columbus, this and that. But I think in MME, the top 6 of Calgary definitely makes some sense.
Yeah, I will go right to the Mangiapane Backlund 2-man. Their numbers have just been outstanding. 2.5 expected goals for against, just 1.2 against. Like 13 high danger chances for per 60 minutes and only 5 against per 60. They've just been outstanding, Backlund and Mangiapane. And Carolina is one of the most, it was not one of the most, by far the most penalized team in hockey. Now they have a great penalty kill, but Calgary's power play's also been one of the best in hockey over the last month or so. So I think full stacking the top line from Calgary makes sense, seeing as they're going to get some depth matchups. And I think a 2-man of Mangiapane and Backlund also makes sense from the Calgary side here. I think I might get to some Mangiapane Backlund 2-mans in my 2 to 3 lineups. Probably no full stacking for me though out of this game in 1 to 3. Definitely would be if I was playing 20 here tonight. Brett Pesce and Tony DeAngelo, I think they're out of COVID protocol. I'm not sure if they're playing tonight. Is there anybody on the blue line that sticks out to you here?
Particularly. Like Slavin's over 5K. And depends if the other guys are back, because if they're out, I don't mind Brady Shea at 2,800. not too much on the Calgary side that I am just itching to play. That I never like Calgary defensemen for DFS.
Oh, I should mention Pesci and D'Angelo won't be playing tonight, obviously, because of border problem. They're playing.
Oh, yeah. So Brady Shea, 2,800 interests me. Yeah.
Don't know why I didn't even think of that. All right. Next game, let's get to Boston. 2.9 implied goal total going into Edmonton. They have a 3.1 implied goal total. Boston played last night, lost in a shootout to Vancouver. We said at the top of the show that Boston didn't look very good. They also played a lot of minutes. Like I think Marchand and Pasternak were both at like 24 minutes played last night. Taylor Hall was moved down to the third line during the third period for Boston. I don't think he's going to start there in this game, but it is a risk that he could get moved down again in this one. It is a 6 total. They're expecting goals here. What do you think, Josh?
Like this
don't
game,
sound so enthused.
man. So like Boston 1 has had their offensive issues, but they're still good defensively. They're going to get, McDavid. McDavid's going to go out against top comp. It's just what it's going to be. I think for the first time in maybe a season and a half, I don't have too much interest in McDavid tonight at 9,400. I think there's other things that I want to do in my 1 to 3, like instead of like going, oh man, I got to force McDavid because he might have 7 goals. Like if anything, like if anyone can neutralize him, now that's just the kiss of death, but it's going to be Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak. Now, like Matthews, how many times are you going to get McDavid under 20%? You know what I mean? So like this could be the night. I always talk about don't run off the chalky McDavids, but like if he's going to be around 15%, I think you can run off him. You want to play him with Jesse Puljujarvi, he's only 3,900 top power play. That's a fine 2-man. I just don't know if I'm going to get there in 1 to 3. This is just a really tough matchup. It's a 10-game slate. If this was a 5-game slate, I definitely have interest in McDavid tonight. I just want to make that clear. But because there's so many other options, I think there's going to be other avenues to victory than, even if McDavid has a 3.9, I still think you can win without him. But, I won't tell you no to Edmonton 1 tonight. They're fully correlated. So Edmonton 2, not super interesting to me. If you want to, do some like power play stuff like we always talk about with Edmonton, I think that's fine, but not super enthusiastic about it. Not super enthusiastic about using Boston 1 either. They looked pretty bad. They played lots of minutes yesterday. I don't want to pay that price. I kind of want to play Boston 2 if Taylor Hall's there going against Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Yamamoto. Just a concern if Taylor Hall's even going to be there. I don't mind a Craig Smith 1-off.
Yeah, I would like Boston 2 as well here tonight if we knew what Boston 2 was going to be. Yeah. That's just kind of the problem here. I think I'm like you. I'm not going to be stacking out of this game. I think a top line Edmonton stack makes a lot of sense here for a couple reasons. One, they said just Jesse Puljujarvi is probably going to get power play 1 minutes, which means, that line is now perfectly correlated on the power play. And they're relatively cheap. They're under 20K. So it's not like this is an Edmonton power play stack where, you're putting in Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and then you're looking for third and fourth liners priced at $2,700. You can actually stack another decent line with them. So I wouldn't, if I was playing 20 tonight, I might get to Edmonton 1. I honestly don't think I'm going to stack any lines out of this game. It would be one-offs for me. I think Darnell Nurse makes a ton of sense as a one-off here tonight. He got moved to the top power play unit. Obviously, he's going to play a lot of minutes. Boston could generate a lot of shots. Like Darnell Nurse is in the, shot block and shot taking double bonus territory. What do you think about defensemen here?
Yeah. Nurse, I love. Brandon Carlo, 3K, I can get behind. It's really about it. You want to play Chris Russell, 3,600. You can do worse. No interest in overpriced Keith Yandel, Tyson Barrie, now that he's off the top power play.
Yeah. That contract's really going to work itself out for Edmonton.
Beautiful contract. Yeah.
Beautiful,
great.
Perfect contract. Winnipeg, 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into Seattle. Seattle also has a 3.0 implied goal total. All right. I want to mention this because I had to double check to make sure that what I was looking up was correct, because I couldn't believe that the numbers with these players were actually this bad. But so far this season, with Brandon Tanev and Yanni Gord on the ice in about 50 minutes together. They're at 48 minutes. 32% shot share, 26% of the scoring chances. Those are below AHL. You'd expect AHL replacement players to put up those numbers. I don't know what's going on. Brandon Tanev's typically a good defensive winger. Yanni Gord's typically a good defensive center, but their numbers are like, there's nothing good here, nothing good offensively, and just nothing but badness defensively. They're probably going to get the Dubois-Ehlers matchup for Winnipeg here tonight, and Seattle's goaltending remains the worst in hockey. I really like Dubois-Ehlers here tonight. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, me too. And Andrew Kopp is 4,300. He's not some guy, he's always like, I don't want to say he's live for a combo meal every night, but he shoots, he blocks some shots. 4,300 is a great price for him. Dubois, for DFS, is their best center. He shoots the puck. His shot rates with Ehlers is good. They're coming in around 6-7% in a three total on the road against Grubauer, who can't stop a nosebleed right now. Like, he's been so bad. Seattle, supposedly good defensively, but they haven't been great. You just mentioned the numbers. Like, I think me, you, and Niehaus can put up comparable numbers on the ice. You know what I mean? And both of us are going for, hopefully not soon, but we have terrible backs. So I really do like the Kopp, Dubois, Ehlers line tonight. If you want to go to that top line, Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler, go for it. They're horrific. 5-on-5. You play them because of the power play. Grubauer has been struggling. Seattle has been struggling. So, but for me, Winnipeg Dubois line is my favorite. You want to go to that top line? Sure. On the Seattle side, I don't think I'm going to full stack anything. I don't know if I'm going to play anything on Seattle. Their lines are just a mess. I just don't like the way the team is put together right now. I'm probably out on Seattle despite a 3 total.
Yeah, it's Winnipeg too for me. Ehlers, Dubois, Kopp, 60% expected goal share together this year. I mentioned how bad that Seattle line is. They're coming in with very reasonable ownership. Like, they have a 3 total on the road, and they have positive leverage by our top stacks tool. I will absolutely take that. So Dubois, Ehlers, Kopp, love them. I think there's also a case to be made for Eberle, Schwartz, and Wenberg, because they're going to get the 3rd and 4th lines from Winnipeg. They do that Islanders line matching where the top line goes out against 3rd and 4th lines. And they're coming in under 1% owned at under 14K on DraftKings. Like, 3 total, under 14K, under 2% owned, top line. Like, I think there's a good case to be made for the Seattle top line, but my favorite line in this game is Dubois, Ehlers. On the blue line, obviously Nate Schmidt continues to make sense. Anybody else stick out to you here tonight?
Giordano's back, but I don't want to pay 6,600 for someone just coming back. My boy Jamie Alexiak, 3,400. I don't mind him. I don't know if I'll get there, but I'd rather look elsewhere.
Yep, I'd rather look elsewhere as well. We have an Awesemo Hall of Fame here where we like to celebrate our winners amongst our subscribers. If you want to get in the Awesemo Hall of Fame, this is how you do it. You download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar, place in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contestants, and then you tweet the wins to the Awesemo Hoff account on Twitter, and you'll see some of the screenshots scrolling through. You'll see a 50K and then a 25K from Swiper 32. Just absolutely crushing it in NBA. T-Scans, we talked about him yesterday, 35K as well. That looks like NFL, if I'm not mistaken. We talked about Hofbrau had, that 20K takedown in NHL a couple days ago, and then yesterday with Mr. Goodman. Send in your screenshots to the Awesemo Hoff account. Just make sure you have the Awesemo avatar as your DraftKings or FanDuel avatar. All right, let's get to these last 2 games. Dallas, 2.8 implied goal total going into Los Angeles. The Kings have a 2.4 implied goal total. There's just not a lot of goals here. It's not very often that you'll see 5 totals. I think this one has come up a little bit during the day, but they're not expecting a lot of goals here. Dallas on the back-to-back. What do you like, Josh?
I think I saw something that Andre Anthony may be back tonight.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, okay.
I'll go check while you're talking.
Yeah. Well, if he's not back, that Kempe Kopitar Brown line is going to see a bunch of the Hintz Pavelski Robertson line. And who baby, they are bad defensively. So I know that the Stars are on a back-to-back, but they're coming in around 1.5%, 2%. And man, I really like that Dallas top line tonight. That Kopitar matchup is not what it's been. It's Kopitar, but like, man, the guys with him just dragging him down. So I really like Dallas one tonight, and I really like LA too. Again, I followed Arvidsson. You're gonna get the Ben Radulov Peterson matchup, which is fine. Like Ben's been better this year, but he's still not a great defensive center at this point in his career. So from this game, Dallas 1, LA 2.
Yeah, I agree with you on both counts. I don't know if I would full stack Los Angeles 2. I think that's a spot where I would play Arvidsson one-offs. That's kind of like, I don't know if Phil Deneau would get it's still a 2.4 total at home, and that's what scares me, right? I'm not going to go haywire with Los Angeles. I do like the second line. They've been great. 67% scoring chance share. I just think Victor Arvidsson would be the one to do the damage on that line. So one off for me from Los Angeles. I agree with you on the Dallas top line. I might get there in my 2 or 3 lineups here tonight. They're certainly in consideration for me. On the blue line, there's really not anybody that sticks out here. Ryan Suter played a lot of minutes last night, so maybe his ice time comes down and somebody like, Lindell's comes up or something, but Lindell's already priced at 4,100. So it's not super cheap. Anybody stick out?
Not really. If you're using Dallas 1, you want to put in Klingberg. I think that's fine. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to use anyone from the blue line in this game.
Yeah, I will say I think Heiskanen makes sense. 6,200. He can definitely get there by his own in like a 3-1 win or something like that. So don't mind Heiskanen, but the thing with Heiskanen is I think he's the same price. Yeah, he's only $100 cheaper than Darnell Nurse, and I'd rather just play Darnell Nurse as a one-off. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of where I'm at. All right, let's get to this last game. Minnesota 3.2 implied goal total going into San Jose. The Sharks have a 2.7 implied goal total. Expect top line versus top line here. I think there's something on the Minnesota side I like, but I'm going to get your thoughts first, Josh.
I like the Minnesota top line. I always like them. Their numbers, Hartman, Kaprizov together are just ridiculous. They're going to get that Couture matchup, which is the only, matchup you have to worry about with the Sharks, but they're still not like elite defensively. They're probably league average. So that line going into a league average matchup with Aiden Hill and the Sharks blue line, I do really like Minnesota 1 tonight. I also like that checking line again. I don't know if I'm going to, make that Joel Eriksson call again, but they are going to get, the Cogliano, Bonino, Nieto line. Like, who is that? Like, what is that? So I don't mind an Eriksson one off again. You want to add him in with, Marcus Foligno, who somehow has like 12 goals on the season. I think, that's fine. I think, Eriksson one off makes some sense. Fiala one off makes some sense. Minnesota 1 makes some sense. On the Sharks side, I think the Hurdle line makes some sense here. If you want to use the Sharks, the problem is like they're going to get the Rask, Fiala, Pitlick line, and yeah, there's not a lot of name value there, but they're pretty good defensively. So I don't know how much Sharks I'm going to be getting to tonight. Hurdle's coming off that hat trick, so he might be more popular than he should be. So I'm going to tread lightly on the Sharks tonight. I'm probably going to be under the field.
Yeah, I will say on the Minnesota side, it's Foligno Greenway that interests me. Getting those secondary power play minutes. The Sharks penalty kill has just been awful at least, by shots allowed over the last month. So I like a cheap 2-man of Foligno Greenway from Minnesota. Don't mind the San Jose top line here either. Minnesota's penalty kill not very good, and they're amongst the most penalized teams in the league. And we have that San Jose top line coming in at very reasonable ownership. If I'm not mistaken, 4% ownership. So I do like that San Jose top line here tonight. Decent special teams matchup for them. On the blue line, I think Mario Ferraro definitely makes sense. Anybody else?
Really? I mean, if you want to play Goligoski with that checking line, I think that makes some sense. If you can get up the Dumbo, that's fine. Brodin skated today. I don't know if he's playing, so that's something to keep an eye on.
All right. Thanks again to Yahoo. They are sponsored for the show. Before you guys get out of here, please click that like button, subscribe, and make sure you click that little bell so you get notifications or alerts whenever we do go live. We have the Yahoo NFL Thursday show coming up with the Jock Market NFL Thursday and Sunday preview show following that. And then at 4:30 Eastern, your NBA double dose will begin. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick pick and your goalie. My hat trick pick for tonight is Oliver Bjorkstrand, and I like Jacob Markstrom, Jake Ottinger, and Aiden Hill in net. Who you got?
I like Markstrom. I also like, oh man, I just lost my train of thought. Go down. Oh, Hellebuck, and I like Gibson. And I'd be remiss if I didn't go to Philip Forsberg tonight.
All right. And just the final note, I see Chad is saying Matt Dumba out for tonight. So that might change things on the Minnesota side as well. But we've run out of time. For producer Mike, for a single entry assassin, Joshua Harris, I'm Michael Clifford saying we'll be back tomorrow, and good luck tonight, everybody.